Hi everyone, Crista Cowan here with another episode of The Barefoot Genealogist. It is time for our monthly edition of What's New at Ancestry. This is for August 2016. If you've never joined us for a What's New episode before, we're going to quickly cover just a few things. First, upcoming events. Second, any changes or updates to the Ancestry site. And third, some new content that has come online in the last month. Let's go ahead and dive in. Let's start with where Ancestry is going to be in the remainder of the year. The International Association of Jewish Genealogical Societies is holding their annual conference in Seattle, Washington in just a week, so the 7th through the 12th of August. There's a really heavy focus, of course, on Jewish genealogy resources in that conference. But even if you have family from Eastern Europe, a lot of the archives are represented there. People that attend this conference have a really great knowledge of what records are and are not available through many of the Eastern European countries. And so it might be something valuable to you whether you have Jewish ancestry or not. Certainly if you live in the Seattle area, it's worth checking out. The Federation of Genealogical Societies is holding their annual conference this year in Springfield, Illinois. That will be the 31st of August through the 3rd of September. Ancestry will be attending both of these events, IAJGS and FGS. We will have a booth in the exhibit hall. Now, if you're not aware of this, at most genealogical conferences, the exhibit hall is usually free, which means if you live in the area, it doesn't hurt to come check out the exhibit hall. You get to meet with Ancestry staff members. You can ask brick wall questions of genealogists. There's other products and services that are represented there. If you can register for the conference, of course, that's going to be the most beneficial. These conferences are packed full of classes, hands-on sessions, lecture-style sessions, opportunities for networking, and research resources available that you're not going to find anywhere else. I will be attending both of these conferences, so if any of you happen to show up, whether in the exhibit hall or for the entire conference, please find me and introduce yourselves. I always love to meet you. The next two events coming up this year, one is an Ancestry Day in Washington State. That will be held in Tacoma at the convention center there on the 24th of September. This is essentially an all-day Ancestry event. So everybody is in one room. We have a series of classes. I present most of them. The local archive that we work with in that area sometimes will present a snippet of information. We'll have a little bit about DNA. Oftentimes we will be selling DNA kits for a little bit of a discount at those events as well. So if you live in Washington State or one of the surrounding areas, you likely received an email from us within the last week or two, so you want to take a look out for that. If you haven't seen that, just hop on over to the Ancestry Facebook page. Under the events category, we've got a link there about Ancestry Day and a link about how you can register for that. Finally, this year, the Afro-American Historical and Genealogical Society, AUGS, is holding their conference in Atlanta, Georgia. That will be the 13th through the 16th of October, and I will be attending that event as well, speaking at that event. So if you have African American ancestry or ancestors who associated with African Americans in any capacity, there are resources there that might help you research your family history and help you contribute to the body of African American historical research if you have records available to you. So certainly something worth checking out. You can just Google AUGS, AAHGS, to find out information about that. Same with IAJGS and FGS up above there. Okay, let's talk about what's new. I just want to highlight the Ancestry blog. Our social media team does such a great job of keeping up with information in the industry, information about Ancestry. So if you're not yet following our blog, I would strongly encourage you to do that. The easiest way to find that is going to be to just go to blogs, blogs.ancestry.com. And you can bookmark that, or you can follow the blog, which will dump it either into your RSS feed or to your email, so that every time we update that, you'll get an update. The best thing about the blog, it allows you to keep up on any news with Ancestry. We provide a lot of historical context and information around different events. We have some guest bloggers who are experts in their field who write for us on occasion. And then there are research tips and tricks. And I don't know if you know this. If you're new to Ancestry, you probably don't. For more than a decade, Ancestry published Ancestry magazine, and some of the best genealogists in the world contributed content to the magazine. And so the Ancestry blog team has been republishing some of those articles because they're still very pertinent today when it comes to genealogy methodology, records that are available, historical context for the lives that our ancestors lived. So if you're not following the blog, I encourage you to do so. Ancestry Academy also has some new short courses out this month, and then the 2 new full-length courses. One with Dr. David McDonald is a video about church and religious records and how you can use those for your family history research. And then Ancestry Ann has a video there about chasing your family through the early 1900s, specifically the 1900 through 1930 census records. You can find Ancestry Academy by clicking on the Extras button across your Ancestry toolbar to get access to those. Now, let's talk about content briefly before we wrap up here today. Ancestry added more than 25 million records this past month for more than 7 different countries. Now, if you've never joined us for a What's New video before, you don't know how to find what's new, you can just on Ancestry go to search and then click on the card catalog. That will take you to the listing of all of the databases on Ancestry. On the top right-hand side, you can sort that card catalog by date added, and you'll be able to see all of the new stuff there at the top of the list. Now, I just want to highlight a couple of collections. Most of these that I'm going to highlight today actually come in multi-collection sets. So we released 7 or 8 databases for Somerset, England. These databases include burial records, they include marriage bans, they include baptismal records. They date all the way back to 1531, which is when the Church of England started keeping those records. And they go all the way through 1914, which is what their current privacy laws allow publishing online. And so we've got more than almost 400 years here worth of millions of records if your family came from Somerset, England. Similar situation for Norfolk, England. These date back to 1535. Some of them go all the way through 1990. Of course, the bulk of these records are going to be in the late 17, early 18, mid to late 1800s, but there are records on the outside of those as well, so within that full date range. So if your family was from Somerset or Norfolk, you might want to take a look at the records that are available there. Also, a huge set of records, a couple of databases for Salzhausen, Germany. These date from 1874 to 1955. Now, one of the things that I just want to point out about German research, and I've mentioned this before, is that if your family is here in the United States or in Canada and you know that they are from Germany, one of the challenges of German research is that you need to know where in Germany they were from. Germany, as we know it, did not become a country, a unified country, until the mid to late 1800s. And so anytime you want to go looking for records prior to that, you have to know specifically where they lived, which often means you need to go digging through US-based records or Canadian-based records more completely to identify a specific location. Now, after unification in Germany, there was still records kept at a local level. And so again, there's no like federal census like there is here in the US or in Canada or in England where you can have one database to search the whole country to locate your family. You do need to have some specifics about where they were from. However, once you locate them, the records that are available are amazing. And so Salzhausen, Germany, 1874 through 1955, great set of vital records there. A similar collection, only this is one database of 10 million records in this one database from 1760 through 1890 for Saxony, Prussia. These are specifically Lutheran church records, so they're going to be records of Again, baptisms, marriages, and burials. When you talk about civil registration or government registration, they usually record births, marriages, and deaths, whereas church records typically record baptisms, marriages, and burials. So that's going to be the difference between civil registration versus church registration. And most of these, actually all of these databases are church registration records. Well, that's all I have for you today. Just short and sweet, and wanted to make sure that we got you caught up on the upcoming events and led you to some resources that'll give you some further education throughout the month. And then, of course, highlighting that new content. If you've got family in those areas, be sure to check out those new databases. Until next time, this is Crista Cowan. Have fun climbing your family tree.